Welcome back to Tools and Track. This place is a f***ing bomb site. Our Locost has been progressing slowly but surely. However, it's come at a bit of a cost and it's really affecting my juju. This entire place is a bomb site. So before we go any further and get on to Operation First Start, I need to square off a lot of this nonsense. So give me 2 minutes and we're going to make this place look like it should be on TV and not Aladdin's Cave of Doom. Right, so it's not spotless, but it's tidy enough for this episode. So let's get going. Big pile of nonsense that I still need to deal with. That is going back on in a moment, but these are my rather shoddy failed attempts at overhauling the front brakes. Yeah, let me stay at that. I give up, they're crap, so whatever's left over here in this pile, along with that, is going to a brake overhaul manufacturer type person. Right, we are out of jobs. No longer can we put this off. But before we get started, and Mechanical Hoarder's on his way over to give us a little hand, I have a quick word just between yourselves and me. As we all know, and as has been demonstrated for the past God knows how many episodes, I'm the king of procrastination at the best of times. Never mind when it comes to electrics. Much like many of you watching, I hate electrics because I'm a mechanical guy. Not an electrical guy. Engineering is the appliance of science in a practical form. And electrics, much like mechanics, it's the same thing. You've just got to RTFM. Read the f***ing manual. Up until this point, we have not read the manual. If you cast your mind back to, Christ knows what episode it was, when we pulled the engine out of the MX-5, we did a very, very minge bag procedure to make sure we had what we needed. We started the engine and just kept snipping wires until it wouldn't start anymore. The problem is, I still suspect I'm sitting with multitudes of wires that I don't need, and because they're not blatantly obvious as to their application, I don't know if it's safe to cut them or not. So it's time for us to RTFM. Now, because I know I need to RTFM, I've been putting it off because I hate RTFMing. How are we going to do this and still make it, God, even remotely watchable? Well, I'm an idiot. Let's do an idiot's guide. So the principle of everything we're going to do today is based around this. The key. Where is the key at? That's the key, get it, to this car starting. But there are many more things the key does than just start the engine. It also powers up a varying array of things at varying different times. That's what all the clicks do. I'm going to break down everything that we're going to do with electrics based on where the key is. Today we're just going to look at one, cranking. i.e. the last position it's at. Mainly it's going to give us a flavour because I've waffled on for 10 minutes already, and it's going to give us a result. We're going to make sure that what we've put in the car will make the engine turn over. That is, believe it or not, a very simple place to start, but it also gives us a tangible result. We'll also know that the engine will actually crank, which, given that it's not done so for 2 years, is probably a wise place to start at. So, and just as an aside, the first problem I'm going to have with this, and I literally just clocked this lying on the bench, put something in for it to crank. Right,
Well, it's been a while.
It's been a while. So yes, today with some slight tidying, I'll grant you, we are going to be looking at
holy moly,
electricals. So this is probably what I should have grabbed in the first instance, which is all of the ECU pinouts. So that's a summarised version there, as from what I can work out, and it just gives you the rough plan of where everything goes. This boy, that is a left to right for everything, I think, that comes through the car. So we'll see if we can interpret this to some degree, and if it's of any use. You'll see, because it's an electrical drawing, I've used electrical tape.
I like that, it's themed, yeah. And you've got electrics, and it's in sort of Poland.
I was going to think about putting a wee zappy thingy there, but I don't have that tattoo.
Can a wee Pikachu toy for the England Do You Speak It motherfucker?
Yeah.
Mascot.
Yes.
I love cable ties. I've got back into building PCs lately, and there's nothing more satisfying and frustrating than the cable tidying piece, where you need to hide all the cables for the fans and the liquid cooler.
Isn't that all you do?
No, I usually don't do anything. I just sit with a keyboard and a mouse, keeping my Skype status available.
Googling what an error is that somebody comes to you with?
Exactly, yeah. I do apologise, comrade. Oh, shit. Do you know how many times yesterday I said hello, comrade, and then stopped and started the video again? Because I didn't want to have references to Ukraine and Russia.
So what we're doing here, I should probably worked out, given the route. So on the MX-5, the battery was mounted in the boot. Now I'm not going to say that the battery is going to live in the boot of this, but in the interest of brevity and not rewiring the whole bloody car from the get-go, we are going to put that in the boot, the bootle region. What we're going to also have to look for at this point, in order to get a crank, and this is pretty critical, is earths. So at this point in time, nothing on our chassis anywhere is making it an earth. So first and foremost, whilst mechanical holders fit in a starting motor, I am going to start creating earths. Now the battery will need to treat this as a minimum as the earth for the battery. Then we will need to tie the engine block in to earth the engine as well. Without those two as a minimum, the starter will not be able to earth through the block into the chassis and back to the battery, and then we'll just tuck the key in and see what happens. Oh, and another thing we'll need to do before the key goes in is make sure that the key actually acts on something. That means, despite what we have here, digging out even more loom and putting it in place.
Because at present, none of this is actually connected to anything.
Realistically, a great thing would just be have that go to that with no more sort of dramas. But what we actually have, again, I stipulate the point of today's exercise, is all this.
Wow!
Yeah, there's a lot of wiring here that I don't think we need. Right, okay, so what we've got so far here is I've cable tied all of the things in, not where they're going to live specifically, but so that it's out the way and we can start doing some diagnosis. Now you'll note here we've still got bits of wiring that are in places that don't have connections. That's because we've got all of this. So what I'm going to have to start doing now is spread this on top of all that, because I think, looking at it, all of the engine loom comes to this plug, and all this plug will need to do really is take power and then run to this. Anything above and beyond that really is superfluous, isn't it?
Above and beyond.
Above and beyond.
Immobiliser.
Yeah. That's also going to be fun.
I'm going to assume that should be at the front of the car.
Yeah, so let's flip this around. So what we'll do is, let's just drape over the car. Right? So the blue plug's going to live there. You can see why this is now an annoyance.
This looks like it connects to some kind of control module.
Yeah, I think that was ABS. We can definitely remove all of that.
Diagnosis?
Yeah, pre-OBD.
Does that plug into an Amstrad? Have you earthed the block?
No.
Right.
That doesn't work. That's the best. Nothing else is plugged in.
Ah, the earth isn't earth.
There we go. Right, okay.
Earth to earth to earth.
I'll earth my earth to the earth. Let's, yeah. What on earth are we doing next?
I wanna lay you down. I do love a good temporary, permanent solution.
No, I'm definitely going to fix this later.
Definitely, maybe.
definitely, maybe I'll definitely consider it. It's still going to be way bigger than what's in the car, so.
We have 12.5 volts, you'll be pleased to know, from the battery.
Big clamp, big crimp for crimping big stuff.
Looks like you've got experience doing this.
This is not my first
time rewiring a TVR Chimera.
Yeah, see above in many other videos. I'm actually trying to like, no, do you know what? I was going to heat shrink that wee bit so it looks proper pro, but see if it looks proper pro, I'll go, fuck, it looks fine.
I believe it. The gearbox isn't oiled, is it?
No, but
Just it'll be fine to crank.
just
Shall we cranky? That's what you can call this episode.
I want Scotland to be independent. So we're going to run this earth basically from the bolt that bolts the starter motor on, so it's a good strong current pass, because really all we want at the moment is the starter to work. So that'll be nice.
Wow. I mean, it's convenient, but wow.
What?
No.
What's your
Nothing for me. No.
What is your, speak your mind.
Yep.
There you go, the engine's earthed.
Does the starter motor got power?
Yes.
Cool. Fire in the hole!
Let's just do it. Let's just send it to the Well, we've got an earth chassis. We've got power for the starter. I like how you're covering your ears, you cheeky bastard. Uh-oh.
Right. That time?
Yes. No? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that was too much to go for. Alright, leave it. So let's just start working through bits of loom. Okay. That should work. Right, okay, so we've got our key situation here. So for a starter, we need to go to starter interlock switch, starter motor, back to the battery. A starter interlock switch.
We have bolted in. I did this all on my own. I didn't even need instruction because I found a bolt that was already filled in, and then
Right, this shouldn't actually be that difficult. There it is.
We should find an accessory line, so the sort of thing that you use to fire up a subwoofer when the ignition's turned, sort of pre-ignition, this becomes live with a 12 volt signal. So we want to find that and see if we're even getting that far.
Right, 1 volt.
We are on 20 volts.
Right, let's see if we're getting power to the starter. No, that's going to be a pointless exercise, mate.
Okay.
Because if that's not getting power, and it's just a king lead, so that's a easy one. Right, so
Right, so there's no power. That's the start.
So
Why
definitely
is it
get
even minus 12?
because that's the bed.
Ah.
Somewhere between this big fat and the starter, there is no power. Well, we've got 12 volts there.
Ha ha ha! I bet you that needs to be attached to complete the circuit then.
To what
The
though?
alternator.
Nah.
The alternator would be an integral part of the entire circuit. Of course it would. It connects
Nah.
straight to the battery.
Nah.
I do have an obvious suggestion that we sort this. Attach that terminal to the starter.
I mean, yeah.
Or attach it to the alternator, see what happens.
Aha! I'm getting 12 volts here at the wire,
Right.
but not at the starter.
You get 12 volts at the starter motor now. Tommy disconnected things one at a time and removed bits and kept starting the engine. And what we ended up with is what we have now, but it was all connected. So we'll reconnect all of it and hopefully it'll start. Get another one of these and then just bolt it together.
Yep.
It's not clean, but it'll do. We can permanentise it later.
Permanentise! Word of day shit paper! As long as you're making up words as you go
Do
along.
you need a quick solution to a problem that you really should do correctly? Permanentise it today! Tommy, am I using this right? Like, I've not used any of these before. So I've stuck it through it and tightened down this end with these screws.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick it on. Right.
This starter, right,
Yeah.
has positions. So that's your accessory, which is an automatic one, we ignore that. So your key will go to power, ignition 2,
Yeah.
and your starter system is 0, ignition running, and then beyond there, but you don't get this. So that means that you can't start it once it's energised. So once you've done a start, you can't then restart because the engine's running. You'll need to go back and cycle here, which makes me think, I think this f***ing meter fuse thing here has to be running.
Okay.
Otherwise it won't start.
So where's that transmission range switch?
So I think there might be some form of f***ing diode gate here that means that if this isn't energised, it won't trip.
That's good reasons there, yeah.
I've got... Right, great, okay. By the way, see if we do actually suss this out, and true enough, this is an interlock switch. I am going to bypass this so f***ing hard.
Did you chop off every piece of loom that we weren't using, or all of these? So everything that should be connected, that isn't, we need to try and connect.
I mean, yeah, but the last time we started the car up, what was connected to the car? We'll put it on a board, and we'll just start taking things off, all of these things.
So basically anything that's...
That shut him up, didn't it?
Try it.
It just would be too easy, wouldn't it? If it just...
So we don't have power to it.
Right.
That's a start. So this will never send the signal down because, well, that's supposed to be a continuity checker here, which is that guy.
This is why you don't want this newfangled fuel injection. Stick to carburetors and distributors.
So I've took the kicker wire off the starter. We're not getting 12 volts here, we're not getting 12 volts to this. So somewhere there's a big fucking live not going to a fuse or a relay or something. We need to go grassroots in this. Not being funny. Literally everything bar the starter's working now. Right, okay, well we've been at this for several hours now, and I've figured out what the problem is. So there's some mad little relay here. I'm not entirely sure what its purpose is, but fundamentally there's a lead that doesn't connect to anything coming off of this, and I can't find the corresponding wire that it should connect to, so we're going to delete it, because I think this powers something else that we're not going to be using in the car. We're getting a crank if I bypass it, so what we're going to do here, somewhat drastically, is bang! And we've now just made our car that little bit lighter. So, what have we done? Let's have a look at the diagnostics. This pint of Guinness correctly did go, oh, why don't you try these and we'll have a look through. So we checked the fuse. The kicker wire for the starter and the actual king lead that comes down doesn't actually have a fuse, believe it or not. Well, not that I can easily see, but fundamentally there are no fuses, so that wasn't a problem. We then looked for relays, and yes, we eventually found one, but not before going through loom doom, and that is stripping everything off. What we've got is a little diagram here which just basically explains what the starter circuit is. My problem is that it doesn't contain any of the wire colourings, so because the loom was all covered and going to various places, I couldn't work it out. So to summarise, and because the whole episode here was based on making this thing crank, I'm going to now show you what the wires should look like so that you can make your MX-5 crank. So on the starter, we've got the obvious king wire, which you don't need to get into. If you don't know what a king wire is, you probably shouldn't be getting as far into this. They've also got the kicker wire here, which you can see is a black and red wire. The main fuse box, which normally lives under the bonnet. That red wire goes to here. This part here of the broken up fuse box comes out the other side as a white with black stripe wire. And when we feed all that one back, that white and black comes to here, into that relay, which we've now deleted. We then put into this white wire here, and that guy comes all the way to there. So, I've just soldered up my little bits, so that's okay for now. I think what I might do is actually bypass this completely. But just to prove the point, gas on, power. Bang. So there you go, one cranking engine. I'm not going to say that was simple or easy, but it happened, and that's the main thing. What I will say though, is that we have done a lot of groundwork. A lot of tasks for an episode about cranking that aren't really to do with cranking, such as, well, just working out loom, getting air sorted. All of these things build up to a working loom. And it's good to set this groundwork at the start, because it just introduces so many problems if you don't. So I'm happy with where we're at, and I'm going to put a pin in this. The next time we're working the low cost, we're going to have a look at more loom, frankly. The loom has to get thinner, and the car has to start with as little as possible. And that's a pretty good target, I think, so we'll get on to that next time. In the meantime, if you just found this, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that jazz at the bottom. If you're into supporting us a bit more than that, patreon.com/toolsandtrack, and you can get your name running up the side of the screen here. And if none of that's for you, cool, no worries. Thanks for watching anyway. Until the next time, guys. Right, safe.
I've just noticed we're on air and we're not on air.
Oh, sorry.
Now we're on air.
Take the piss with my mood, mate.
No mate, just kidding me. Una mesa, a la catra, por favor. A table for four, please.
Looking at this, I'm going to say ambitious is an understatement.
What? What?
Sorry, cut.
What?
I'm guessing we're not reconnecting these clocks. No.
So once you get the first one,
Right, I mean that's all there is. So unless I'm missing.
I was just thinking, have you renamed this for Tools and Track to be for BMW?
No.
No.
Sorry. I mean, I'm sitting watching a YouTube video myself, minding my own business, not saying a word, although I totally need help. But it's okay. That's fine.
Why am I taking the keys out? I'm just nick that.
I bet you lock it.
Aye. Man.